Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Friday afternoon of a long, for at least for some of us, it's Friday afternoon, I guess. I shouldn't assume that everyone it's Friday afternoon. Welcome. And we're getting ready for that long weekend. So good to see all's faces. And I'm going to do an apology right up front. I'm having some technical issues and I'm not going to be able to show my camera, but that should not mean you don't show your camera because we love to see your smiles and have you engaged with us today. It's so good. Happy New Year. It's so good to see you all. And I don't want to I don't want to take away any time from Chuck, who's joining us from University of Kentucky to lead us in the Y block. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chuck. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Thanks everyone for joining today. I know a lot of people decided that they wanted a 4 day break. And so I don't know about in your part of the world, but in Kentucky, we are having just an overabundance of flu, strep, COVID, whatever viral that's going around. We've got a lot of schools that public schools that have canceled actually today because of the number of kids absent because of sickness. So just throw up some positive thoughts for them that all of those kiddos will get started. Kyle says same in Colorado. Yeah, it's just been crazy, and also in Iowa. So yeah, let's just hopefully this weather going up and down with all the temperatures will get everything started in a more positive direction after next week. Let's go ahead and get started. So I wanted to just give you a little history. Maybe why that I wanted to do this block. So when I started working with the Impact Collaborative, and I don't know how long that's been. I mean, I think it was near the start of the whole program. And Steve has been around that while, as long as I have. And so it's been quite a while, but I can remember that this was okay. Molly says 2018, so around 6 to 8 years, and so that's awesome. The This was the first session that I taught at a national impact collaborative. So and I remember we had our walk-in music and up on stage as we led this section. So this really is one of my favorite sections in the whole book because I do a lot of research on brain-based learning and a lot of work in my state in professional development for extension agents and volunteers. And that's one of the questions that we ask central to any program that they do. And so so that is something that one of the reasons I think this is so important, this block in our overall extension programming as well. Let's go ahead and just jump right in. I'm going to share. I'm hoping that I'm going to share my workbook. Can everyone see the workbook? Okay. All right. Awesome. And I'm going to close my tools out here. Okay, all right. So we've looked at the workbook before. So to get our brains engaged and ready to discuss for today, I would like to hear some shout outs or maybe some comments in the chat. what are some words or phrases leading up to today that you are that have resounded with you since we started going over these blocks this year? So let me just hear that. So what are some things that you remember right off the top of your head? Are there new terms, phrases, ideas? I'd just like to get us started thinking before we go on about what we've covered in the past. Okay, we've got the spaghetti diagram. All right, awesome. Anyone else want to share a phrase or thought or idea, concept, term, something that has just really stuck with you or jumped out from along our trek this past year? Okay. Unfair advantage. Okay. Inspiration. The UVP. Megan, same with me also. Okay, I'll give you just a few more seconds, and we'll go ahead and get started. Awesome. Patty, I understand. Same here. I was out of the loop for a while. Jody mentioned validation as well. All right, awesome. I love these ideas. I always start out any session that I'm doing, especially web-based, just with some sort of a question to get our brains engaged and with what we've discussed in the past, so that we can build onto that in anything new that we do. So I'm sharing the impact workbook because that's what our materials are all in. I wanted to make sure that everyone could see the materials right in front of you that we are going to be working. So if you go to the I want to change my view here. If you go to page 20 in the book, that is where that you are going to find the section that we are going to be covering today. All right. And it is the why. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that we can see. If anyone, I've got my connection block here minimized, so if you need me to stop or you can't hear me or I freeze up, someone unmute please and just let me know and I will fix whatever we've got going on. Okay. All right. So what is our purpose today? So I want for us to understand the exactly why this type of activity is important in extension program design, especially when we think about innovative thinking. We want to make sure that we understand the why framework and what goes into that. And then we also want to maybe, if we have time, actually do some independent work on developing your own why statement and sharing those with the group. All right. The important thing, I think, before we go any further, is to remember that when we are thinking about this innovative approach, so when we're talking about the impact collaborative, Yes, individual work is so important. I do believe that. I believe individual thought processes are so important. But I want us to really consider, small group, large group, consensus thinking while we are developing these programs. Because if we are designing programs to meet the needs of a people group or a community group, then we need to be thinking outside just one person thinking. And so when we think about the concept of why, we have to be thinking about the more than one instead of just the personal sometimes. And so I want us to think about that. I really thought it was really interesting to show to include the Extension Professionals Creed. And I want to give you a few seconds there to read over. It's at the top of page 20. And if you want to look over that and read over it, we're going to be discussing that in a minute. But I wanted to give everyone the chance to read over that. Thank you, Megan. In case anyone does not have the direct link to the current workbook, thanks, Megan, for including that. And that way, if you want to make your visuals larger than I am, feel free to do so. Also, if you'll notice, I don't know if your version, there's also a read aloud option if you would prefer to have that read to you as well. And also on here on the left, you will also know that in the Impact Collaborative guidebook that we're using, I really like the fact that we have all the resources with hot links over on the left-hand side. So that also makes it easier for the groups that we're working with as we are transitioning more in extension to do more hybrid and more online work. We have these direct hot links that we can just go directly to them while we're working on these things. So now I'm going to open it up and I'd like to hear from you. What are your thoughts after you read the Extension Professionals Creed? What comes out? Are there any words in that pop out at you? Are there any phrases that are there any phrases that pop out at you while you read that Extension Professionals Creed?
For me, the words "I believe" at the beginning of every statement is significant, and I relate to it very well because I've had a 37-year career in extension, and so I committed from the time that I joined extension and really believe in what extension can do for people. And when you can feel like you've made a difference in someone else's life, that to me is the win.
Right. Awesome. Clint made a comment about self-determination, okay. Empowerment. Molly mentioned about the greatest university is the home. Okay. Awesome. If I'm missing anyone, I apologize. I'm trying to catch these as we go. All right. So now I want to ask this. So why is that? Jody, you have a question or a comment? Please feel free.
I was just going to say, I wish our federal government had this creed.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I wish they had had it ever since it was written. And so the Extension Professionals Creed, by the way, if you have been a member of National ESP or our national professional organizations, they usually have this in some of their books and their guiding principles or whatever. So this has really been used over the years in professional development for extension, and so that's why I wanted to highlight it, and I'm glad that's um, in this book. And absolutely, Ruth, believing why we do what we do is important. Now let's think about this professional's creed as we go into designing programs. So if we are following these precepts of belief in the Extension Professionals Creed, why is it important to know the why behind what we're doing? I'd like to hear that from you all. Why is it important to know the why behind what we are doing?
So we can determine whether or not what we're doing is successful.
Okay. All right.
Chuck, I think you're also gonna mention though, when Simon does it, it's the how and what. People get confused thinking that their whats or hows are the whys, and they're really not. You really need to challenge yourself and think deeply about why, and rephrase. Even though your how and whats may be good, you really need to rephrase them so that the fundamental purpose is expressed as a why.
Exactly, Steve. Thank you. And that's actually what we're segueing into. And thank you for bringing that up. So when we're thinking about asking ourselves the why, I don't know about you all, but in my 400 years of experience in extension, I sometimes find myself thinking my why is just completing individual lessons or completing tasks. You know, if someone says, "Why are you doing this?" Well, because it's on my calendar today. You know, does anyone else feel that way? Is that you really don't understand, you know, the why? You're just, when you think about that, it's always focused back to one program or 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 ideas like that.
I think I can definitely relate to that. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Kemp. I'm at Iowa State, and also with the Agri Prospects Workforce Development Network. But when I definitely I think somewhere in undergrad, a professor or something had told me about asking yourself why 3 times, when you're trying to figure out the why. And I think that first level of why definitely is like, it's on my calendar and I got to do it for this program. But yeah, that's what that made me think of.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Megan. I agree. All
Hi,
right.
hi, this is Kyle from Colorado. And when I think of that why, that purpose area, I also like to think about being intentional. It's just an additional word that I put into the mix. And then also just to mention this because, in addition to Synec's, amazing work on this, I'm sure you've all heard of or are familiar with Priya Parker's book, The Art of Gathering. And if you're not familiar with that, I would definitely recommend reading it and checking it out because it just adds an entire new level to the intention as to why we do what we do. To answer that question, why are we meeting every Monday morning? Is it because that's what we do? Or is there really a purpose in that why behind the reason why we're meeting at 9 a.m. on Monday morning? So anyway, just to throw that additional reference or resource out there, it's phenomenal.
Great. Kyle, if you don't care, add that title and author into the chat. That way, if anyone is interested, they can do that. They can check on that. So we've mentioned the name Simon Sinek multiple times already, and that is because a lot of this activity was geared toward something that he had written in one of his books, and about finding that, how do we find that audacious goal? How do we find that big goal, our vision? And exactly what Steve and some of the others mentioned is, we get stuck on our basic level of why, and we really don't think about what the definition of the why is. And so if you look at the golden circle down here below, so there are 3 different levels. All right. So at the center is the why that we really want to look and get. All right. That's what that we really want to get at or get to. Now, to do that, then we look at this next level about the how. All right. And by the way, this is listed in your it's listed in your book here as well over here in the resources. But we need to think about, okay, so if this is why we're doing it, then how are we going to do it? All right. What's it going to take to reach that purpose that we're looking for? And then the outside circle is the what. And that is really what your project is, so sometimes I think that we reverse when we're thinking about program design, and we start actually thinking about the what and go inward. But I would like for us to be challenged to think about the why and go outward. All right. And if you looked at some of the design theory and look at really thinking about what your purpose is first, then that will help you to answer the questions about how and what. Now, I would like to mention that there is a framework. I don't think it's actually what you would consider a theory. I would consider it more of a model, and it's called the 5 whys technique. This was created by Toyoda, Tyoyoda, who was one of the founders of the Toyota dealership organization. All right. And so the 5 whys technique tells us that you just can't answer, or you can't find that core why unless you ask that question to your planning team multiple times. Now, they call it the 5 whys because in their dialogue, it takes maybe up to 5 times. But I think if you think of as you go through program design and implementation, sometimes it may only take 3, okay, or it may only take 4. And so we want to make sure that as you're asking those questions, why did this happen? Well, if this happened, why did that happen? Make sure that it makes sense at the end. All right. So if you get to the point that you've asked too many questions, why, it's not going to sound realistic, and so that's one thing that they caution while you're doing that. All right. Any questions so far? This has been some wonderful discussions. I've missed some chats. Here, let me go back up. Yes, Molly, thank you. Molly knows I love liberating structures. I was going to mention that as a reference, a resource for you. If you have not tried liberating structures, it is a wonderful program. They have all sorts of additional activities that get people thinking about how to come up at how to bring consensus, how to get things so that they are actually focused on what needs to be done and acted upon. So if you type in liberating structures, you can actually download the material online, their websites. I have done everything. I've bought the books, I've done the website, and actually I have the app on my phone. So there is a Liberating Structures app. Like if you were just out and about and you needed that, you can actually pull up that website on the app and choose. It will help walk through a resource that whatever that you might be looking for. Okay. All right. Let's go now to our next page, which is page 21. So now did I interrupt someone? Was someone wanting to speak?
Chuck, I didn't see anyone unmute
Okay.
or raise their hand, but folks, feel free.
All right. Usually if someone unmutes, it'll take away my name and put someone else's. I thought that I'd seen that. Okay. All right. So let's change now. Let's go a little step further. So how do we actually do this in our sessions? If we are working with a group, a design team to look at a program that you're working on in your community, in your state, in your region. So how do we actually implement this why process? Now, I am going to show you this because I did one of the things I would like to share, and I'm hoping that I can do that without too much trouble. Are you still seeing my screen, by the way?
Yes,
Okay, all right. Is it still on the power, or is it still on the booklet, or is it on the Simon Sinek?
it looks like it's in the booklet.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop share and share a different. Okay, here we go. So we've mentioned that there is a video on YouTube that is free and it will help explain the golden circle. I want to just give you, for those of you that may not have seen it, I want to show you like a condensed version that they've created to just give you a little teaser, and then you could possibly go back and use the full 5 minutes. So I want to show this for you.
Chuck, we're not hearing the audio. You want to make sure that you're sharing audio.
Okay. Yeah, it says I am.
Mhm.
Okay, let me.
We're a friendly group here. We're all going to help troubleshoot. So,
Thank you. Let me go back and see here. Hmm. Okay, let's try. Okay, now let's try it again.
Every single organization on the planet, even our own careers, always function on these same three levels. You know, what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. Every single organization on the planet knows what they do. It's the products you sell, it's the services you offer. Some can articulate how they're different or how they stand out from the crowd, but very, very few people or organizations can articulate why they do what they do. It's not about money or market share. Those are results. Apple doesn't start by talking about what they do. They start by talking about what they believe. If Apple spoke like anybody else, they'd start with what they do. We make great computers. How do they do it? They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Right? But they start with why. Everything we do, they say, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one?
All right. So I hope that that gave you a little taste of what you could actually go and see the full video that he does, which is a wonderful YouTube presentation there. So leading that in, and you all have mentioned this before, is that the why statement is our purpose. It's what we believe in. It's what we are, our innate hope for our organization or program or idea that we're wanting to generate. So how do we do that? So here are some helpful hints as you're working with your group is to how to create that why statement. Okay, so I want you to look at these seven. First of all, these seven helpful hints for creating your why statement. All right. Sometimes it helps us start with "we believe," because remember, it's more than just about the I. It's about the we. Okay, and we've mentioned the word believe multiple times during this section or session. So we want to make sure that it encompasses those two concepts. Then you want to ask yourselves, to what end? So at the end of this program and beyond, what do we want to achieve? What do we want to happen? More than just people attending and sitting down and watching this video or this activity or this demonstration, but what do we really want them to achieve? All right. So what results are we expecting? All right. And then, of course, to do that, you really have to have already thought about what issue are you trying to address? Or what is the challenge that's occurring right now in your community, or you feel that it could come in your community in the short time frame? And so, you've got to think about that. So what am I trying to to actually address with this project? Okay. Now, if you're doing, and I love this on section 5, it says if you're starting with a shorter term goal, then try adding in order to. So that allows you to preempt or to give a purpose to what you're going to say as your why. Now, I really like number 6 and number 7. I think they're very important for us to look at. Your why statement is a state of being. Okay, it's our hope for what we want our purpose to be, and our first why might be your team's why. So that those two statements are so very important. Now, I want you to look at the second section there, and these are the why statement examples. Now, you'll notice that they're written differently. So some of them start with an infinitive, some of them just start with a belief statement, and then some of them just start with the project or the program title. All right. And so I want you to look at that and think the reason that we place those in there is for you to understand that what we're looking for is to make sure that the different parts are in there, but you can word them to however it suits your issue and the challenge that you're going to be working on. All right. So we want to make sure that organizations and groups that we're working with have that freedom and that flexibility to create the why statement that works for them so that we will set them up for success. So now what are we looking for as our purpose? Well, we all want some sort of condition change. In extension, if you think about, our highest levels of program design, our goal for that is to change some sort of condition that is occurring, whether it's in our community, our state, our home, our nation, there's some sort of condition, there's something going on there that we want to change. And so that is why we need to think about, what condition change are you actually looking to occur? Now, I want you to look at the word type that is in front of each of those. Can someone unmute and tell what kind of word that is? Is it a noun or a verbal?
It's a verb.
Right. So we're looking to improve. We're looking to enhance. We're looking to increase. We're looking to protect. Okay. So that's why it's a state of being. That's why our why statements. Thank you, by the way, for whomever said that. So in a state of being, we got to think, well, hey, this is a verbal. Okay, this is something that we want to do, we want to change, so we want some movement with that. All right, and so that's why it's important to think about that condition change while you're doing the why. Now I want to go back and show you at this point some additional things I think are important. Throughout the why process, as you go into thinking about your how to actually word the why and statement and put it in, I want you, and this ties back into what we did at the very beginning of the section, is asking you to remember some of the things that we covered already. Well, I want you to look at this. So if we look back on page 2, we see the process. All right. And I want you to look at this is our entire collaborative process. So I want you to look at as you're thinking about the why, we actually need to know where it fits. Okay. So when we're generating ideas, that's where our ideas come from. What's our vision? What's our purpose? What's that condition change? What's that big audacious goal that people thought that we may not ever be able to achieve? All right. So I want you to make sure that you keep this sheet somewhere near you as you're working with your groups so that you can see this visual of where the why fits. And then, of course, also we want to make sure that we are looking at pages 3 and 4 as we're doing this also, because we want to make sure that we're having our checklists out, so to see that where does this actually fit? What have we already done? What do we need to continue to do? Where are we in the total overall process? So I think it's very important that we keep all of these in front of us as we're doing our work with the why. Okay, are we ready to try to write one of these? Woo! Okay, all right. Any questions or comments at this point? I hope I've not bored anyone too bad that you're falling asleep. So but let's go ahead and let's work on this. So if everyone could see the activity sheet here on page 22. All right. So now what we're going to do is I want you to keep in mind we don't really have time to do breakout groups and come back. So I want you to actually um, uh, think as if you're in a room, in a planning team, or in a video room, a virtual room with your planning team. So, what I would like for you to do is using the materials that we've already shared, I'd like for you to come up with maybe a draft why statement for a program or an issue or a condition that you want to address in the cooperative through the extension system in your state. Okay. All right. So I'd like for you to follow the activity, the directions here. And so what we're going to do, we don't, like I said, we don't have a lot of time to do this. I wanted to give you at least a taste of the activity as it's written in the book. Now you can feel free if you've downloaded this to add the notes here as well. And I'll show you. Oh, I went too far. I typed the wrong number. Should have gone back up. So, you've already had where I showed you on page 2 is the process, page 3 and 4 is the checklist, and then the why lesson is on pages 20 and 22. All right. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes at the max. I'll gauge by people's faces. So if you need more than 5 minutes, let me know. If you get done in less than 5 minutes, give me a thumbs up, and we will we'll just stop it at that point.
Chuck, are we going into breakout groups?
No, we're going to do it since it's 2:45. We really don't have time to do into breakout groups.
Okay.
We're going to do it individually,
Okay.
and and then come back and we're going to share. I ask you all to act as if you are in your state design teams, and then bring it back together. Thank you, Joey, for asking for that clarification.
Sure.
We have about 2 minutes left on this activity. Okay, if we can come back together, please. Molly's post is this. Whew. If you've read her post, and she had to leave, but if you read her post, I mean, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, wow. Okay. All right. Let's come back together. I would love to hear your ideas. If anyone is willing to if anyone is willing to share their drafts, that and or if you would like to speak them out or type them in the chat, either one is wonderful. Joel, I see yours. Carlos wrote here. Carlos, do you want to say it out loud, or is this okay?
Uh, well, yes, since we're working with a value-added product development center, our why is to support growth of the business of the small goat farmers, helping them to innovate, create new products.
All right, awesome. Thank you. All right, Joel, can you? I see your hand is raised.
Yes. So I work with West Virginia State University Extension, specifically Family and Consumer Sciences. So our why, which I believe is the goal or the mission or what we have to achieve, the ultimate outcome. So our goal is to empower individuals and families to make informed, positive life decisions. How we do that is by providing practical information on parenting, budgeting, nutrition, and health.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Ruth, would you like to read yours out loud? Nope. Okay, that's all right. So you can, I just want to give everyone the opportunity. So, all right, so you can check out Ruth's here as well. And Jody posted one. Jody, would you like to read it out? Or are you okay with just putting in text?
I would like some feedback from people if it meets what you're asking for.
So folks, look over it, and does it answer? Does it serve the purpose? Is it a condition change? Is it really telling why that we are going to do that program? Anyone want to give some ideas and thoughts? I think it's on a good step there. I do. I don't want to be the only one to share. You know, as we do this, remember these are just drafts. All right. So I think it's important that we look at it, we share it with other people. But I think this is definitely on the road. Yes.
I think I like Kyle's. I would like to say to transform how people engage with trees in Yolo County. Thank you, Kyle. Big borrow steel.
Very
Right,
welcome.
exactly. Awesome. All right, you all, I hate to say this, but our time is winding down and I need to give Molly some time at the end. I just want to make sure that as we close our session today, is that we make sure that after you have written your initial draft, then go back and think about those 5 whys. You know, ask yourself, you know, are you truly hitting your purpose, not just a title of a program that you need to do? What really is at the core purpose of this issue and discussion that you're having? And after you do that, another thing is this: make sure that it's readable to those people that are 1 step or 2 step above us as well. You know, make sure our funders can understand, make sure your supervisors can understand, make sure those decision makers can understand it as well. All right. So make sure that the wording that we use is simple enough and straightforward enough to capture the thought so that other people can look at it and say, absolutely, yes, you're on target with that. All right. And then you continue to work throughout the design process. All right. I hope that everyone had a good time. And with today, I hope I didn't bore you too much. And so now I'm going to turn it back over to Molly.
So first of all, I'd like to thank Chuck for leading us through the WISE block. This has been great. He's shown us a great way to facilitate this block by helping us experience it with him. And so that's been a great opportunity, plus lots and lots of sharing. And I'm seeing in the chat right now a lot of connections happening, which is just super because we really are a community. And it's just wonderful to see that. So thinking forward in our community, we're meeting monthly. And next month, we had to make a change because of some schedule issues. And so next month, we actually have, and we're not going to focus on a particular block or technique with the Impact Collaborative, but rather have more of an open sharing time together. And I know that you all are bringing a lot of your experiences and maybe other tools and techniques with facilitation and working in with communities and teams that you might want to share with each other next month. So I'm looking for anyone who would like to help lead that. Just basically facilitate the session of sharing. So please feel free to volunteer yourself for that. And you can also reach out to me afterwards if you want to give it a little bit more thought and time. But that's February 20th, same time as this one. March 20th, Ruth Hersman, Lindsay McConnell-Soon, and Jessica Beckendorf have all volunteered to co-lead us through the empathy block. So I'm really appreciative of their collaboration to do that. And then we have on April 17th an opening for anyone who would like to lead us through the reflection block. So I would really love it if one of you all who are here and engaged would love to take the opportunity to lead one of our sessions. And you can see it can take any form, whether it's facilitating the block for all of us to learn in that way, or if it's more a discussion around what is the block and how are folks using it, or potential ways to use it. That's also a way that we can engage together. And you know what? I bet y'all can come up with other ways to engage with, say, the reflection block as well. Okay, folks. Are you all just kind of doing the nodded, or I want to think about it? And that's fine. I will be sending out the requests again. And it is now top of the hour. I thank you for spending this time together. You all really re-energize me every single month. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, thanks to Chuck for leading today. Take care.